Muchachos y muchachas. So we have been awaiting Ghislaine Maxwell's, gotta, put a little spin to these names nowadays. But we're awaiting her trial that is set to begin, I believe, at late this month. I think it's like the 26th or the 29th. And we're expected to hear a lot more details come out of this, a lot more details to unravel from this, if you will, no pun intended. By the way, Unravel with Natly Denise. Monday through Friday, 9:30 p.m. Central. Be sure to catch it on Unravel with Natly Denise. It is the channel linked in the description below. But anyway, back to this. We're waiting for more details to unravel, but it seems that as this nears closer and closer, I would expect that maybe more details will start to come forward as we're learning that the Barclays, which is a big British bank, the CEO has stepped down. He's resigning because there are some founded details in a new report that is causing some sort of stir or some sort of, reaction where everybody is frowning upon him. And it just makes me wonder what these things are. Stay right there. We're going to go through it. Folks, the world is literally becoming unhinged. Supply chains are breaking down. The critical shortages are showing up left and right. People can sense that the other shoe is about to drop. They're ordering emergency food like crazy, which means you should too before you can't get any. I'm talking about high quality emergency food you can get from My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's leading preparedness company, and they've served millions of American families. Now they want to help you by giving you $100 off their best-selling 3-month emergency food kit. This food stays fresh for up to 25 years in proper storage, so it'll be there when you need it. And the meals in this food kit average over 2,000 calories per day, so don't wait. Go to preparewithnatly.com and claim your 3-month emergency food kit while you still can. You'll save $100 per kit if you act now. That's preparewithnatly.com. There continues to be a surge of orders. Make sure yours is one of them. preparewithnatly.com. All right, now that we're back, let's get straight into the details. Let's take a look at what is going on with Barclays CEO. This is coming from ABC News. Barclays CEO steps down over Epstizzle report by UK regulators. As you guys heard, I've got to put a little spin to these words, these names. The chief executive of British bank Barclays stepped down Monday following a report by United Kingdom regulators in his past links with the late financier sex offender Jeff Epstizzle. Jess Staley has previously said he deeply regrets his relationship with Epstizzle, who perished. We're not going to say that, he perished in the federal jail in New York in August of 2019 while awaiting his trafficking trial. There is no suggestion that the 64-year-old Staley knew anything about Epstizzle's alleged crimes. Staley said that he will contest regulators' preliminary conclusions, which were shared with him at the bank on Friday. That's interesting. They shared the details at the bank, at his place of work, not pulled him aside, not pulled him out, but shared it with him at the bank. The report by the Financial Conduct Authority and the Prudential Regulation Authority examined the way Staley characterized his relationship with Epstizzle to Barclays when he was Epstizzle's private banker in his previous job at U.S. investment bank JP Morgan. Now, as you guys may know, because Jeff Epstizzle was this grand financier, in which I also know that, many of these, legacy financiers, bankers, financial institution, legacy people, people of the profession, they often questioned, his validation, what gave the late Epstizzle his accreditation to, be able to handle all these big accounts. Les Wexner is one big example. He handed him the power of attorney, handed Epstizzle the power of attorney. So it was very questionable where he got his accreditation to do this big work. So, there were other people, that surrounded the before and after Epstizzle saga that I still kind of question. Dutch Bank is also another institution that is, I believe, under active investigation. He actually was a client, I believe it was in the early thousands. And despite Epstizzle already having his first conviction of pedophile stuff, they still accepted him as a client, and not only that, allowed his transactions to surpass. So I just want you guys to put that into perspective, that he had a lot to do with the banking and financial industry, and it still reflects today. Let's read more. Details of the report have not been released, and both regulators have refused to comment. Barclays said in a statement Monday that the bank and Stanley agreed he would resign in light of regulators' preliminary findings and Stanley's decision to fight them. The bank noted that the investigation makes no findings that Stanley saw or knew about any of Epstizzle's alleged crimes, which it said that the central question behind its decision to hold back its chief executive after Epstizzle was arrested in 2019, it wouldn't comment further. Stanley said that his last contact with Epstizzle was in the fall of 2015. Get this, when he and his wife sailed to Epstizzle's private island for lunch. For lunch? That's what they say, for lunch. That trip occurred shortly before he joined Barclays. He said that he had no contact with Epstizzle once he joined the bank in December of 2015. So let me just get this straight. The fall of 2015, you're his friend. You're obviously already within the financial sector. You are pretty much, you've leveraged your career to get to where you needed to be. And yet you sailed with Epstizzle and your wife to his private island in the fall of 2015. But then you claim that you had no contact with Epstizzle once you joined the bank in December. So fall, December, right? Fall is right before December. I'm just trying to make sense of this, and I'm just asking questions. C.S. Venkatrakrishnan, head of global markets for the bank, will take over as a chief executive. Barclays said his succession planning has been in place for some time, and he had been identified as the preferred candidate more than a year ago. Shares in Barclays fell 2% following the announcement, as Stanley had been widely accredited with doing a good job at the bank. Barclays credited him for running the company with commitment and skill, helping transformation operations and improve its results. It added that the regulatory process still has to run its course, and it is not appropriate for the bank to comment further on the preliminary conclusions. Analysts said that Barclays had to act because of potential damage to its reputation. Now, this is my question, because they have not, this is what we know so far, it was so dire, these details that were found in this report, that Barclays itself had to distance themselves away from the CEO. Now, the CEO is still going to get compensation, just so you know. Barclays is right to pull the plug now, said Neil Wilson, chief market analyst at markets.com. It probably could have done it earlier. Yeah, they pretty much could have done it earlier, especially that this individual was actually photographed with Epstizzle and some other individuals that I think you'll know who they are pretty early on. The bank said Stanley will get a £2.5 million, $3.5 million payout, and receive other benefits for a year. He also may be eligible to receive repatriation costs to the U.S. and could receive more cash. So I just wanted to do a little bit more digging on some specifics to these details. So I'm going to go to the NYP here. And of course, they reiterate the same things that we just went through. But I wanted you to take a look at this photo right here. And I'm going to read a little bit above it. But as you can see, the CEO that is resigning is on the far left here. So he's pictured with Epstizzle and some other prominent names and people that you might recognize, might not recognize. I don't know. It's for yourself to decide. So this is what this CEO is going to get benefited with by stepping away. Barclays paid Stanley, who became CEO in bank of 2015, almost $5.5 million in 2020, according to the bank's annual report. The bank said Monday he will continue to receive his current fixed pay of almost $3.3 million dollars per year until October of 2022. He will also continue to get his pension allowance of more than $160,000. Until then, the bank will pay for his repatriation to the U.S. So he is a United States citizen, and he was the CEO living and, basically, keeping his position in the UK. So he's coming back here and he's getting paid big bank. No decisions have yet been made in respect to any further remuneration payments to be made to Mr. Stanley, the bank said. So this just reiterates that, his relationship with Epstizzle. Stanley previously insisted he only had a professional relationship with Epstizzle, but maintained contact with him for several years, even after Epstizzle was convicted of having sexual relations with girls. Barclays said that it challenged Stanley over his ties with perverted money man in 2019. When Epstizzle scandal blew up after Epstizzle was charged with further serious sexual crimes, and ultimately there was some fatality in the jail. It says something else, but yeah. The information Stanley provided about his relationship with Epstizzle was used to defend the banker in an initial investigation by the FCA. But the PRA joined the investigation in 2020 and challenged the way that Stanley characterized his relationship with the disgraced financier. The Boston-born banker previously said he deeply regrets his friendship with the pedophile, whom he met in 2000 when he took charge of JP Morgan's private banking division, and Epstizzle was already a client in New York. So my question again is, this is just my observation and the way I opine this whole, story. Now, we read in ABC News that he actually sailed with his wife and with Epstizzle to his island, his private island, which is very infamous and notorious for possibly being a really bad place. And so my question is, do you really deeply regret that relationship with Epstizzle if you had that very close encounter, then and there? This is what he has to say. The relationship was maintained during my time at JP Morgan, but as I left JP Morgan, the relationship tapered off quite significantly, Stanley previously said. I wonder if it's something that maybe they saw at the island. I don't know. Why would it quickly taper off? Because that's the usual excuse that many of these high rankers, give, that, we deeply regret this decision. And, it's just a very common story that we hear. Stanley said his last contact was in the summer of autumn of 2015. I told you about that he sailed with his wife to his island. He said, obviously, I thought I knew him well, and I didn't, Stanley told reporters in 2020. For sure, with hindsight, with what we know, I deeply regret having any relationship with 𝐻𝐴𝐵 Epstizzle. So, there's a lot of things to question. Like, as I mentioned, there are no conclusive details that have been unleashed quite yet. But from what we can assess, there must be something so dire and so provocative on there that it caused Barclays to distance themselves from their CEO and also, get him out of the light. So my question next is, Barclays, what do you have to hide? Barclays, what have you enabled in the past? Because if this was pretty significant to push him away, what kind of exact ties would Barclays have to want to distance themselves with, So anyway, those are my thoughts. And that's the story on this CEO with the whole Epstizzle saga. And again, I'm pretty sure that as time nears by, we might see more details unravel, outside of Ghislaine and her trial transpiring. We'll see what happens. So anyway, guys, Be sure to like, share, subscribe to this channel, and like this video. Tell somebody about this channel, and just let them know that we cover the things that are not making a lot of talks right now. Also, again, I'm just going to plug in my podcast daily. It's Nightly with Natly. It's at 9:30 p.m. Central, and it is on my other channel now. I will no longer stream it on this channel. So if you're interested in a daily news podcast, you can go to natlydenise.com/podcast, or if you want to see it on YouTube, there is a link in the description below. Guys, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for supporting the channel. I will catch you guys in the next video.